Dr. Maya Chen stared at the holographic display floating above her desk and wondered if she had finally lost her mind. The image showed a creature that looked like nightmares had grown wings and learned to breathe fire. 30 feet of scaled muscle, razor-sharp claws, and teeth designed for tearing through starship hulls. The Scarix. The galaxy's most feared, apex predator. You cannot be serious about this mission, Commander Vrel said from across the table. His forearms crossed in what Maya had learned was the Zenthari equivalent of extreme concern. His insectoid features made reading emotions difficult, but his voice held clear worry. 200 years, Doctor. 200 years of failed attempts. Every species that has tried to study these creatures has paid with lives. Maya leaned back in her chair, her dark hair pulled into a practical ponytail. She wore the standard-issue jumpsuit of the Galactic Conservation Fleet, though hers had coffee stains on the sleeve. I read the reports. Commander, all 73 expeditions, I know the risks. Then you know this is suicide, Vrel insisted. His antennae twitched with agitation. The Scarix do not negotiate. They do not communicate. They destroy everything that enters their territory. We have lost good people trying to understand them. Maya pulled up another file on her display. Charts and graphs filled the air between them. But look at the pattern. The attacks are not random. They concentrate around specific regions. There is intelligence behind their actions. These are not mindless beasts. Intelligence makes them more dangerous, not less, Vrel countered. Or it makes them capable of being understood, Maya said quietly. The commander's mandibles clicked together in frustration. Why would you volunteer for this? Your record shows excellent work with the Thornback colonies and the Crystal Swarms. You have a future in this organization. Why throw it away? Maya smiled, though it did not reach her eyes. Have you seen my funding requests? The conservation fleet is running on minimal budgets. My department has been denied resources for 3 years straight. This mission comes with a bonus that would fund my research for the next decade. If I succeed, I am a hero. If I fail, at least my student loans get paid off. That is a terrible reason to accept a suicide mission, Vrel said flatly. I have had worse reasons for worse decisions, Maya replied. Besides, I am not planning to fail. I will set up on the dead moon in Sector 7, well outside their patrol range. Remote observation only. I get close-range data. They never know I am there. Everyone goes home happy. Vrel studied her for a long moment. Despite being from different species, Maya felt he was seeing right through her casual attitude. You believe you can succeed where 200 years of attempts have failed. I believe everyone else approached this wrong, Maya said, her voice growing more serious. Every expedition went in with weapons ready, expecting a fight. The Scarix responded to that expectation. Maybe it is time someone tried something different. Different how? By not treating them like monsters first, Maya said simply. 3 days later, Maya stood in the cargo bay of the transport ship Steady Horizon, watching her equipment get loaded into the small research station. The station was basically a reinforced box with life support, sensors, and enough supplies for 6 months. It looked exactly as depressing as it sounded. This is your last chance to reconsider, Captain Torres said, approaching with a data pad. The human captain had been running supply missions for the conservation fleet for 15 years. His weathered face showed concern. I have transported a lot of crazy scientists to dangerous places, Chen. This tops them all. Your confidence is inspiring, Captain, Maya said dryly. Torres did not smile. The Scarix have destroyed 12 ships in the last year alone. Not damaged. Destroyed. As in, nothing left but debris. Your little station would not last 5 minutes if they decide to notice you. That is why I picked the location I did, Maya explained, pulling up a star map. This moon is dead. No resources. No strategic value. It is just outside their active territory. They have no reason to come there, unless they pick up your energy signature, which is why I am running on minimal power. My station will barely register on standard scans. I will be a ghost. Torres handed her the datapad. Sign here. Confirms you understand the risks and accept them willingly. Also confirms you are not being coerced and are of sound mind. Though I have serious doubts about that last part. Maya signed without hesitation. When do we leave? Dawn cycle. 4-day journey to the drop point. Torres paused. For what it is worth, I hope you prove everyone wrong. The Scarix mystery has haunted the galaxy long enough. Would be nice if a stubborn human was the one to crack it. The journey passed in a blur of final preparations. Maya reviewed every piece of data the galaxy had on the Scarix. Their hunting patterns showed clear intelligence. They targeted ships carrying specific cargo types, avoided certain areas during breeding seasons, and their attack formations suggested coordinated group tactics. These were not mindless predators. They were strategic, careful, and incredibly dangerous. But why? What drove them to such hostility? Every other apex predator species in the galaxy had found ways to coexist with spacefaring civilizations once communication was established. The Scarix remained the single exception, the one species that refused all contact and destroyed all attempts. Maya fell asleep each night reviewing attack footage, looking for patterns others had missed. There had to be something. Some key that would unlock understanding. On the 4th day, the steady horizon dropped her station on the designated moon. The surface was gray and lifeless, pockmarked with ancient craters. The perfect place for someone who wanted to disappear. Station is secured and operational, Torres confirmed over the communication link. Life support is green, sensors are online, and your supplies are stocked. You have enough food and water for 6 months, longer if you ration. Let us hope I do not need to ration, Maya said, watching through the porthole as the steady horizon prepared to depart. Emergency beacon is active. If anything goes wrong, hit it, and we will come running. Might take us a few days, but we will come. Understood, Captain. Thank you for the ride. Good luck, Dr. Chen. Do not do anything stupid. The communication link went silent. Maya watched the ship's engines flare bright blue as it accelerated away, leaving her alone on a dead moon at the edge of Scarix territory. She spent the next several hours unpacking and organizing her equipment. The station was small but functional. Sleeping quarters barely larger than a closet, a work area with her computers and sensors, a tiny food preparation corner, and a bathroom that made airplane lavatories look spacious. Maya stacked her supply containers methodically: nutrient bars, water purification tablets, instant meals, and tucked in the back, her personal stash. Vacuum-sealed packages from Earth, real coffee, actual chocolate, a few packages of jerky, and buried in the middle, wrapped carefully, 3 genuine steak sandwiches she had paid a fortune to have preserved for the journey. Sometimes a person needed real food, not just nutrition. If she was going to spend 6 months in a box studying space dragons, she deserved a decent lunch occasionally. Maya finished unpacking just as her long-range sensors came online. She pulled up the display and began calibrating the equipment. The sensors could detect energy signatures, heat patterns, and movement within a range of several thousand kilometers. If anything Scarix-sized came within detection range, she would have plenty of warning. She settled into her chair, coffee in hand, and began her work. Days passed in careful observation. The sensors picked up distant movement, possible Scarix patrols, but nothing came close. Maya documented everything, building a database of flight patterns and behavioral observations. On the 8th day, everything changed. Maya was reviewing data from the previous night when her proximity alarm chimed. She pulled up the sensor display, expecting another distant contact. Her coffee mug slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. The sensor showed a massive heat signature, Scarix class, and it was not distant. It was approaching her station directly. Estimated time of arrival, 30 minutes. Maya stared at the screen, her heart pounding. This was impossible. She had been so careful. Minimal power usage, no active transmissions, nothing that should attract attention. She rushed to the control panel and began emergency shutdown procedures. Maybe if she went completely dark, it would pass by without noticing. The escape pod. She needed to check the escape pod. Maya ran to the small airlock where her emergency vehicle waited. She opened the panel and felt her blood turn cold. Red warning lights flashed across every system. Fuel leak, thruster malfunction, navigation failure. The escape pod was completely non-functional. Maya leaned against the wall, forcing herself to breathe slowly. 28 minutes now. She could repair some of this. Maybe. The fuel leak was accessible. The thruster issue might be fixable. Or she could sit here and wait to die while her hands shook too badly to hold a wrench. No. Absolutely not. Maya grabbed her toolkit and dove into the repairs. Her fingers worked automatically, years of training taking over. Seal the leak. Bypass the damaged fuel line. Reroute power to the backup thrusters. 15 minutes left. The repairs were taking too long. She was not going to make it. Her stomach growled, absurdly loud in the cramped space. Maya laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. She was about to be killed by a space dragon. And her body was complaining about missing lunch. Fine. If she was going to die, she was not doing it hungry. She climbed out of the escape pod and walked calmly to her food storage. Found one of her precious vacuum-sealed steak sandwiches. The rare meat inside still looked perfect. Preserved in its protective packaging, Maya sat down at her workstation, pulled up the external cameras, and unsealed her sandwich. The smell hit her immediately. Rich, savory, incredible. Real food. She took a bite and closed her eyes, savoring it. Her proximity alarm screamed. Maya's eyes snapped open. The sensor display showed the Scarix signature had suddenly accelerated. New estimated arrival, 8 minutes. She stared at the screen, then down at her sandwich with its rare, bloody meat. Oh no, Maya whispered. The Scarix had not been coming for her station. It had smelled the blood from her lunch. Maya stared at her sandwich like it had personally betrayed her. The rare meat glistened with moisture, and she could smell the rich, bloody scent that had apparently just announced her presence to the galaxy's most dangerous predator. Stupid. 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 She muttered, setting the sandwich down carefully. Her hands trembled slightly, but her scientific mind was already working through the problem. The Scarix hunting instinct was triggered by blood scent. Every report confirmed it. The moment they detected blood, they entered an unstoppable hunting mode that ended only when they found the source. She pulled up her external sensors and zoomed in on the approaching signature. The heat pattern was enormous, easily matching the largest Scarix specimens on record. It was moving fast now, covering distance that should have taken an hour in mere minutes. 6 minutes until arrival. Maya ran back to the escape pod and dove into the repairs with renewed urgency. Her wrench slipped twice as she tried to reconnect the fuel line. The thruster casing refused to seal properly. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. 4 minutes. She could see it now on the external cameras, a dark shape against the stars, growing larger with each passing second. Wings that spanned at least 40 feet, folded close to its body as it flew. Even from this distance, she could make out the powerful muscles and armored scales. 3 minutes. The thruster repair was hopeless. She had managed to seal the fuel leak, but without working thrusters, the pod would just tumble uselessly through space. She might survive the launch, but she would die slowly instead of quickly. 2 minutes. Maya made a decision. She climbed out of the escape pod and sealed the airlock behind her. If she was going to die, she wanted to see it coming. She wanted to observe. That was what scientists did. They observed, even when observation was the last thing they would ever do. She returned to her workstation and activated every external camera. The screens filled with views from different angles around the station. She started recording everything. Research log, Dr. Maya Chen. Day 8 of Scarix observation, she said, surprised at how steady her voice sounded. I have made what might be considered a critical error. I opened a vacuum-sealed food package containing blood compounds. The scent has attracted a Scarix individual approximately 90 seconds from my position. I am recording all data for future analysis. She paused, then added quietly, if anyone finds this, please tell my mother I am sorry about missing her birthday last month. And tell Captain Torres he was right. This was a terrible idea. 1 minute. The Scarix filled her main screen now. Maya's breath caught in her throat despite her fear. It was magnificent. The scales shifted between deep purple and black, catching the distant starlight. The wings moved with perfect precision, adjusting to navigate between debris fields. The head was massive, with a long snout and curved horns that swept backward, and the eyes, golden eyes that seemed to glow with their own light. 30 seconds. Maya could see details now. Individual scales. The way the creature's claws tucked against its body during flight. The ridge of spines running down its back. Every report called them monsters. But looking at it now, Maya saw only beauty and power combined in perfect evolution. 15 seconds. The Scarix adjusted its approach vector, heading directly for the observation deck. The transparent aluminum window was rated to withstand micrometeorite impacts and extreme temperatures. But Maya had no idea if it could stop a determined apex predator. She was about to find out. The Scarix landed on the observation deck with surprising gentleness. The structure barely shook. It folded its wings carefully and turned its massive head toward the window. Toward Maya. They stared at each other through the transparent barrier. The creature was even larger up close, its head alone the size of Maya's entire sleeping quarters. This close, she could see the intelligence in those golden eyes. Not animal cunning, but real, thinking intelligence. Maya stood frozen, holding her half-eaten sandwich without even realizing it. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to hide, to do something other than stand there like an idiot with lunch in her hand. The Scarix tilted its head slightly, studying her. Its nostrils flared, clearly still catching the scent of blood, but it did not attack. It did not try to break through the window. It just watched. Maya's sandwich slipped from her numb fingers and fell to the floor with a wet splat. The Scarix's eyes immediately tracked the falling food. Its head moved, following the sandwich's trajectory down. When it hit the floor, the creature's eyes stayed fixed on it for several long seconds. Then it looked back at Maya. Its head tilted the other way, like a confused puppy that had just witnessed something it could not quite understand. Maya's fear began to transform into fascination. This was not the behavior of a mindless predator in hunting frenzy. This was curiosity. Confusion. Even, she moved slowly, carefully, keeping her hands visible. The creature's eyes tracked every movement. Maya knelt down and picked up the fallen sandwich. It was ruined now, floor grime mixing with the meat, but she held it up anyway so the Scarix could see it clearly. The creature leaned closer to the window, its massive snout nearly touching the transparent surface. Its breath created small clouds of condensation on the exterior. Maya's scientific training kicked in over her terror. She was witnessing something no one had ever seen before. A Scarix that was not attacking, not destroying, just observing. She needed to document this properly. Moving carefully to avoid startling the creature, Maya reached for her recording equipment. She activated every sensor, every camera, every data collection tool she had. Then, feeling slightly insane, she held up the sandwich again and took a deliberate bite. The Scarix jerked back slightly, surprise evident in its body language. Its wings partially unfolded, then folded again. The golden eyes widened. Maya chewed slowly, maintaining eye contact. She was breaking every rule of predator interaction she had ever learned. But instinct told her this was important. She swallowed, then took another bite. The creature made a sound. Not a roar or a growl, but a complex series of vocalizations. High-pitched clicks, mixed with deeper resonant tones. It sounded almost like speech, like language. Maya's heart raced, but not from fear anymore. This was communication. Attempted communication. The Scarix was trying to talk to her. She activated her translation software, knowing it would be useless. The program was designed for known languages, and the Scarix had no linguistic database. But at least it could record the sounds, analyze the patterns, look for structure. The Scarix vocalized again, longer this time. Its body language seemed expectant, waiting for a response. Maya did the only thing she could think of. She set down her sandwich carefully and spread her hands, palms up, a universal gesture of non-aggression. Then she spoke clearly, knowing the creature could not understand her words but hoping tone would carry meaning. "Hello. My name is Maya. I am not here to hurt you. I am just trying to understand." The Scarix went completely still. Even its breathing seemed to pause. Its eyes fixed on Maya, with an intensity that felt like being examined under a microscope. Then it moved, raising one massive clawed foot. With precision that seemed impossible for something so large, it used a single claw to draw in the thin layer of frost that had formed on the station's exterior surface. Maya watched in amazement as simple shapes appeared. A circle. A line. Another circle. The creature was drawing symbols, creating some form of visual communication. "Oh my God," Maya whispered. "You are intelligent. Actually intelligent. Not just smart for a predator, but actually thinking, communicating intelligence." The Scarix finished its drawing and looked at her expectantly again. Maya grabbed her datapad and quickly sketched the same symbols on her screen. She held it up to the window, showing the creature that she had understood, that she could replicate what it had drawn. The Scarix's body language changed completely. The tension left its muscles. Its wings relaxed fully. And if Maya did not know better, she would swear the creature looked relieved. They continued this way for several minutes. The Scarix would draw symbols in the frost. Maya would copy them on her pad. Neither understood what the other was saying, but communication was happening. Real, genuine communication. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. 200 years of failed attempts, and all it took was one accidental lunch and a willingness to not immediately assume the worst. The translation software chimed, startling them both. Maya looked at her screen. The program had detected patterns in the Scarix's vocalizations. Not a full translation, but structure. Grammar. Syntax. This was definitely language. Maya looked up to share her excitement with the creature. But the Scarix had suddenly tensed. Its head swiveled toward the sky. Eyes scanning. Maya's proximity sensors began screaming warnings. Multiple ships approaching, large ones. Military configurations. She pulled up the identification codes and felt her stomach drop. Galactic Fleet Patrol. 4 ships, heavily armed, coming in fast. She looked back at the Scarix, which was now standing at full height, wings spreading in what was clearly a defensive posture. The patrol ships appeared on her external cameras. Their weapon systems were charging, targeting lasers, already painting the Scarix with deadly precision. They thought they were rescuing her. They were about to destroy everything. Maya ran to her communication panel and started broadcasting on every channel. "All ships, this is Dr. Maya Chen. Stand down. Do not fire. The Scarix is not hostile. Repeat. Do not engage." But deep down, she knew they would not listen. Protocol was clear. When a Scarix was found near a civilian station, elimination was authorized. The creature outside her window was about to die because she had opened a sandwich. Maya's fingers flew across the communication panel, desperately cycling through every frequency. "This is Dr. Maya Chen, on Research Station Epsilon 7. Do not fire. The Scarix is attempting communication. Stand down immediately." Static crackled back at her. Then a familiar voice cut through. "Dr. Chen. This is Commander Vrel, aboard the patrol vessel Steadfast Purpose. We are reading a Scarix signature directly on your station. Confirm your status." "I am fine," Maya shouted, probably louder than necessary. "The Scarix has not attacked. We are communicating. Do not shoot it." There was a long pause. Maya could imagine the scene on the bridge. Officers, staring at their screens, trying to process what she had just said, 200 years of precedent telling them she must be wrong, crazy, or already dead. "Dr. Chen, you said communicating?" Vrel's voice was carefully controlled. The tone someone used when talking to a potentially unstable person. "Yes, look at my data feed. I am streaming everything." The Scarix drew symbols, responded to my gestures. "This is real communication, Commander." Outside, the Scarix had not moved from its defensive position. Its golden eyes tracked the approaching patrol ships with obvious wariness. Maya could see the muscles in its legs tensing, preparing to launch skyward. "Maintain your position, Doctor," Vrel commanded. "We are analyzing your feed. Do not make any sudden movements. I am not the one you need to worry about," Maya muttered. She looked at the Scarix through the window. The creature glanced at her. Then, back at the ships. It was trapped between conflicting instincts: fight, flee, or trust this strange small being that had shared food with it. Maya made a decision that would either be brilliantly inspired or fatally stupid. She walked to her airlock controls. "Dr. Chen, what are you doing?" Vrel's voice sharpened with alarm. "Your biometrics show increased movement." "Something crazy," Maya said. "But staying inside is not working. Do not open that airlock." Maya ignored him and hit the release. The inner door slid open. She stepped into the small chamber, her heart hammering so hard she could feel it in her throat. The outer door was all that separated her from vacuum and a creature that could tear starships apart. She sealed the inner door behind her, then looked through the small window in the outer door. The Scarix had noticed her movement. Its massive head turned toward the airlock, eyes narrowing. Maya raised her hand and placed it flat against the window. A gesture of greeting, of trust. Then she pointed at herself, then at the Scarix, then made a linking motion with her hands. Connection, understanding, peace. The Scarix tilted its head again, that same confused puppy expression returning. It took a step closer to the airlock, moving with surprising gentleness for something so massive. "Chen, your readings show you are in the airlock," Vrel said, his voice tight with stress. "Step away from the exterior door immediately." "Can't do that, Commander. This creature is scared. Your ships are making it defensive. I need to show it that I am not a threat. That we are not enemies. It is a Scarix. It is threat incarnate." "No," Maya said firmly, watching the creature approach. "It is scared and confused and probably wondering why every species it meets immediately tries to kill it." The Scarix stopped just outside the airlock door. This close, Maya could see individual scales, each one like a work of art. The creature's breath fogged the exterior surface in rhythmic clouds. Its eyes studied her with that same intense focus. Then it did something that made Maya's breath catch. It raised one clawed hand and placed it against the door, directly opposite Maya's palm. The size difference was absurd. Maya's entire hand fit inside the pad of one massive finger, but the gesture was unmistakable. Mirroring, connection, understanding. "Commander," Maya said softly, "are you seeing this?" "We see it," Vrel replied, his voice filled with wonder. "All ships, hold fire. Repeat, hold all weapons. We are observing unprecedented behavior." Maya smiled at the Scarix through the door. The creature's eyes seemed to soften slightly, some of the wariness fading. "I am going to try something," Maya announced. "Nobody panic." "That statement has never preceded anything good," Vrel muttered. Maya pulled out her datapad and brought up images of food, various dishes from across the galaxy. She held the pad up to the window, showing the Scarix. Then she made exaggerated eating motions, pointing to her mouth. The Scarix leaned closer, studying the images. Its eyes moved across each picture with clear interest and curiosity. Maya switched to images of Earth animals: cows, pigs, chickens, prey animals. She made the eating gesture again. Then she pulled up images of vegetables, fruits, grains, more eating gestures. She was trying to explain omnivore, a species that ate everything but did not hunt everything. A species that could consume prey without being a predator. The Scarix made that complex vocalization again, the clicking and resonant tones. Its body language showed confusion but also fascination. It raised its other hand and made a complex gesture, combining movements Maya had used with new ones. Maya's translation software was working overtime now, building correlation matrices between gestures, sounds, and contexts. It would take weeks to develop a proper translation, but they were building something. A foundation of understanding. Dr. Chen, we are detecting more Scarix signatures approaching your location, Vrel reported. 3 additional contacts. Incoming fast. Maya felt a spike of fear, but the Scarix in front of her did not seem alarmed. Instead, it turned its head skyward and vocalized loudly. Not aggressive, but more like calling out. 3 more Scarix appeared, their wings catching the distant starlight. They circled the station once, then landed at various points around it. Each was slightly different in coloring and size, but all moved with the same grace and intelligence. The original Scarix, the one Maya was beginning to think of as Ember because of its purple-black coloring, turned back to her. It made another vocalization, and the 3 newcomers settled into relaxed postures. Family, Maya thought. Or packmates. Social structure. Another sign of intelligence. One of the newcomers, smaller and more blue-tinted in color, approached the airlock curiously. Ember made a warning sound. Not aggressive, but cautionary. The younger one stopped and sat back on its haunches like a scolded child. Maya could not help but smile. These were not monsters. They were people. Different people, yes, but people nonetheless. Commander, I need supplies, Maya said suddenly. Supplies? What kind of supplies? Food. Specifically, protein bars, dried fruit, and if you have any, packaged vegetables. Non-meat items. You want us to deliver lunch to creatures that destroy starships? Vrel sounded incredulous. I want to show them what humans eat, all the things we eat. I think the Scarix are pure carnivores. They probably cannot understand a species that consumes plants and meat. To them, you either hunt or you are prey. We do not fit their categories. There was silence on the comm. Maya could imagine the debate happening on the bridge of the steadfast purpose. Finally, Vrel spoke. That is actually logical. If their entire worldview is based on predator-prey dynamics, an omnivore would be incomprehensible. Exactly. And if they cannot categorize us, they default to seeing us as threats. Everything that bleeds is either competition or prey. We need to show them there is a third option. Approved. We will prepare a supply drone. But Dr. Chen, if this goes wrong, you have my permission to say I told you so at my funeral, Maya interrupted. But it will not go wrong, trust me. 20 minutes later, a small automated drone descended from the steadfast purpose. The Scarix watched it warily but did not attack. The drone deposited a container near the airlock and retreated quickly. Maya opened the exterior airlock door. The sound of the seal breaking made all 4 Scarix tense. Ember moved protectively closer, placing itself between Maya and the others. Maya stepped out onto the station's exterior deck, her magnetic boots holding her to the surface. She could feel the eyes of every being in the sector watching her. One wrong move, one sign of aggression from either side, and everything would collapse. She walked slowly to the supply container and opened it. Inside were dozens of food items, all carefully packaged. She picked up a protein bar and unwrapped it. Then, maintaining eye contact with Ember, she took a bite. The Scarix watched intently. Maya swallowed, then held out the remaining portion toward Ember. An offering. A gesture of sharing. Ember hesitated, then leaned down slowly. Its massive snout approached Maya's outstretched hand. She could feel its hot breath, could have counted the razor-sharp teeth in its mouth. Ember gently, impossibly gently, took the protein bar from her hand. It examined the food carefully, sniffing it with obvious curiosity. Then it bit down, experimentally. The Scarix's entire body went rigid. Its eyes widened. It looked at Maya, then at the remaining protein bars in the container, then back at Maya with what could only be described as shock. Maya grinned. Yeah, it is weird, right? Plant proteins. We eat those too. Ember made a sound that was almost like a laugh, a huffing vocalization that made its whole body shake. The other 3 Scarix crowded closer, clearly curious about what their companion had tasted. Maya spent the next hour distributing food to the Scarix, showing them the incredible variety of human diet. Each new item produced reactions of confusion, surprise, and growing understanding. They were learning that humans were something different, something that did not fit the old categories. And Maya was learning that the galaxy's most feared predators were not monsters at all. They were just misunderstood. Commander Vrel stood on the bridge of the Steadfast Purpose, watching his screens with disbelief. Below, on the dead moon's surface, Dr. Maya Chen was having a picnic with 4 Scarix. An actual picnic. With the galaxy's most dangerous predators. Sir, additional Scarix signatures are appearing, Lieutenant Cass reported from the sensor station. 6 more contacts, approaching from various vectors. Vrel's antennae twitched with concern. Dr. Chen, we have more incoming. You need to evacuate now. Maya's voice came through calm and steady. Negative. Commander. Ember is not showing alarm. I think they are responding to some kind of signal. Family group, maybe. Ember? Vrel repeated. The first one. I needed to call it something. Maya sounded almost embarrassed. The purple-black one with the curved horns. Vrel watched as 6 more Scarix descended from the sky, their wings creating magnificent silhouettes against the starfield. They landed around Maya's station, in what was clearly a coordinated pattern, not aggressive, but definitely purposeful. Chen, you are surrounded by 10 Scarix, Vrel said, trying to keep his voice level. This is the largest concentration ever observed in one location. I know, Maya replied. It is incredible. Commander, they are communicating with each other. Complex vocalizations, body language, even touching. This is advanced social behavior. One of the newly arrived Scarix, a massive specimen with scarred silver scales, approached Ember. The 2 creatures touched their snouts together, in what looked like a greeting. Then the silver one turned its attention to Maya, its golden eyes narrowed with clear suspicion. Okay, this one seems less friendly, Maya said quietly. Ember is positioned between us. Protective behavior. The silver Scarix vocalized sharply, an aggressive edge to the sound. Ember responded with what sounded like reassurance, gesturing toward the scattered food packages with one clawed hand. They are arguing about me, Maya observed. The new one is clearly the leader, alpha of the group, maybe. Ember is defending me. Vrel made a decision. I am bringing my ship closer. If this escalates, you will need immediate extraction. Commander, no. Maya's voice turned urgent. Your approach will be seen as aggression. The leader is already suspicious. A warship moving in will confirm every fear they have. Doctor, you are one human surrounded by 10 apex predators. I am not leaving you without backup. Then send a shuttle, not a warship. Something small and non-threatening. But give me time first. I need to convince their leader that I am not dangerous. Vrel clicked his mandibles in frustration, but held position. On screen, he watched Maya slowly approach the silver Scarix. Ember made a warning vocalization, but Maya placed a hand on the creature's leg in a calming gesture. The silver leader's eyes tracked her every movement. Its muscles tensed, clearly ready to strike if this tiny being made one wrong move. Maya held up her datapad, showing the same images she had shared with Ember. Food. Variety. The concept of omnivore. She moved slowly, deliberately, making sure every gesture was clear and unthreatening. The silver Scarix leaned down, examining the images. Its expression, as much as Vrel could read alien expressions, showed confusion. It looked at Ember, who vocalized something that sounded like confirmation. Then the leader did something unexpected. It drew in the frost on the station's surface, just as Ember had done earlier. But these symbols were different, more complex. Multiple shapes connected by lines. Commander, are you recording this? Maya asked excitedly. Every second, Vrel confirmed. Maya studied the symbols, then drew a response on her datapad. The silver Scarix examined her drawing, then made another vocalization. The tone had shifted. Still cautious, but no longer hostile. I think we are talking about territory, Maya said. These symbols keep appearing in contexts that suggest boundaries or regions. The leader drew more symbols, Faster now. Other Scarix gathered around, adding their own marks to the frost. It looked like they were creating a map. Maya's hands flew across her datapad, trying to keep up. Commander, they are showing me something important. Multiple locations. All connected. I think these are nesting sites. Vrel felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. Nesting sites? Doctor, if they are revealing breeding grounds, it means they trust me, Maya interrupted. Or at least, they are desperate enough to try. Ember, can you show me more? The purple-black Scarix that Maya had named Ember moved to a clear section of frost. It drew carefully, creating detailed symbols. Then it did something that made Vrel's breath catch. It drew small shapes inside the larger symbols. Eggs. Nests with eggs, and then it drew lines through several of the nests, crossing them out. Oh no, Maya whispered. These are destroyed nests, lost breeding sites. Ember vocalized mournfully, a sound that carried pain even across species barriers. Other Scarix joined in, creating a harmony of grief that was unmistakable. They have lost their young, Vrel said quietly. That is why they attack ships. They are protecting their remaining nesting grounds. Maya looked up at Ember with tears forming in her eyes. How long has this been happening? How many have you lost? Ember could not answer in words, Maya understood, but it drew more symbols. Many symbols. Too many. The Silver Leader made a sharp vocalization and drew something new. A different kind of ship. Not Galactic Fleet design. Something sleeker, faster. And symbols showing these ships approaching the nests. Raiders, Maya said, her voice hardening. Someone is poaching their eggs. Vrel immediately activated his analysis systems. Scarix eggs would be worth fortunes on black markets. Genetic material from apex predators. Potential for bioweapons research. Exotic cuisine for certain species. He felt sick, listing the possibilities. How long have you known about this? Maya asked the Scarix, knowing they could not fully understand. How long have you been trying to protect your families? The Silver Leader drew a long line in the frost. Then it marked multiple points along the line. Years. Possibly decades. They have been fighting a war we did not even know existed, Vrel said. Every ship they destroyed, every attack we recorded, they thought we were the raiders. Or at least, they could not tell the difference. Maya turned to face the external camera, addressing Vrel directly. Commander, we need to find these raiders. Now. Before the Scarix lose any more young ones. Agreed. But Doctor, I need you to ask them something. Can they show us what these raider ships look like? Any identifying features? Agreed. Maya nodded and turned back to the Scarix. Using her datapad and gestures, she tried to convey the question. The Silver Leader seemed to understand. It drew more detailed symbols, showing ship configurations, marking patterns, specific design elements. Vrel's analysis computer began cross-referencing immediately. Within minutes, it had possible matches. I am getting several hits. 3 different ship classes used by independent operators. All registered in the outer colonies where regulation is minimal. Can you track them? Maya asked. We can try. But Doctor, this presents a problem. The Scarix have been attacking Galactic Fleet vessels because they cannot distinguish us from the raiders. How do we explain that we are here to help, not harm? Maya looked at the assembled Scarix. 10 magnificent creatures, each one capable of destroying her with a casual swipe. All watching her with hope and wariness mixed in their golden eyes. We show them, Maya said firmly. We find the raiders, we stop them, and we protect the nesting grounds. Actions speak louder than words, especially when you do not share a language. The Silver Leader moved closer to Maya, lowering its massive head until it was level with her. This close, Vrel could see every detail. The scars on its scales, the wear on its horns, the exhaustion in its eyes. This was a warrior who had been fighting too long with too little hope. Maya reached out slowly and placed her hand on the creature's snout. The silver Scarix did not pull away. "We will help you," Maya promised. "I do not care if it takes me the rest of my career. We will stop the ones hurting your families." The leader made a low, rumbling vocalization. Ember and the others responded in kind. It sounded like agreement, like acceptance, like the beginning of an alliance. "Commander Vrel," Maya said, her voice carrying absolute determination. "I am formally requesting emergency authorization to investigate illegal poaching operations. I am also requesting protection details for verified Scarix nesting grounds." Vrel straightened in his command chair. "Dr. Chen, you are a xenobiologist, not a military investigator. Then deputize me or whatever you need to do. These creatures have been fighting alone for years. That ends today." Vrel looked at his crew. Every officer on the bridge was watching the screens, witnessing history being made. Lieutenant Cass gave him a small nod. Ensign Tora, usually stoic, had tears in her compound eyes. "Approved," Vrel said. "All ships, new mission parameters. We are hunting poachers. On the moon's surface." Ember suddenly tensed. Its head swiveled toward a section of space, and it vocalized urgently. The other Scarix immediately went on alert, wings spreading. "Chen, what is happening?" Vrel demanded. "They sense something." "Oh no." "Commander. Scan Sector 9 to 7, full spectrum." Vrel's sensors officer worked frantically. "Got it. One ship, medium size, trying to use stealth systems. Configuration matches one of the raider profiles." Maya looked up at the Scarix. "Is that them? The ones who hurt your families?" The silver leader roared, a sound of pure rage that shook the station's hull. It launched skyward, and the other 9 Scarix followed instantly. "All ships, pursue," Vrel commanded. "We do not let that raider escape." The hunt was on, but this time, human and Scarix were hunting together. The raider ship tried to run, its engines flaring bright as it accelerated away from the moon, but it had made a fatal miscalculation. It was fast, but the Scarix were faster. Maya watched from her station's external cameras as 10 winged forms shot through space like living missiles. They moved in perfect coordination, cutting off escape routes, herding the ship like predators cornering prey. "Commander, they are not attacking yet," Maya observed. "They are waiting for something." "Waiting for us," Vrel replied. The Steadfast Purpose and 3 escort vessels moved into formation, creating a box around the raider ship. "They want us to capture it, not destroy it." Evidence. The raider ship fired its weapons desperately, plasma bolts cutting through space. The Scarix dodged with contemptuous ease, their aerial agility making the weapons seem laughably slow. One bolt came close to Ember. The silver leader roared and dove at the ship, claws extended. For a moment, Maya thought it would tear the vessel apart, but instead, it raked its claws across the engine housing, precise strikes that disabled propulsion without breaching the hull. The raider ship tumbled, powerless and trapped. "Boarding teams, move in," Vrel commanded. "I want everyone on that ship alive and in custody." Maya suited up quickly, ignoring protests from the Steadfast Purpose's crew. "I am coming with you, Commander. The Scarix need to see us handling this together." 20 minutes later, Maya stood in the raider ship's cargo hold and felt her stomach turn. Dozens of containers lined the walls, each one temperature-controlled and carefully labeled. Inside were Scarix eggs, some still intact, others already harvested for genetic material. The silver leader stood beside her, having somehow squeezed its massive form through the ship's cargo airlock. Its entire body trembled with barely controlled rage as it looked at the stolen eggs. "How many?" Maya asked the captured raiders, her voice cold. 3 individuals from a species she did not recognize sat in restraints, guarded by fleet security. "We invoke trade protections," one raider said through a translator. "These are legally acquired goods from unregulated space." "Unregulated space. Unregulated does not mean uninhabited," Vrel snapped. "You have been stealing the young of an intelligent species. That is not trade, that is genocide." The silver Scarix moved closer to the raiders, who pressed back against the wall in terror. The creature's claws extended, scraping against the metal floor with an awful screech. "Wait," Maya said softly, placing a hand on the Scarix's leg. "Let the law handle them. Your people have lost enough. Do not lose yourselves to revenge." The silver leader looked down at her, pain and fury warring in its golden eyes. Then, slowly, it stepped back. The restraint it showed was more impressive than any display of strength could have been. "Commander, we need to return these eggs to their nests," Maya said. "How many are still viable?" The ship's medical officer checked the containers. "Most of them, maybe 70%. But I have no idea what conditions they need for proper incubation," Ember vocalized urgently, gesturing toward the containers with clear agitation. The silver leader responded, and suddenly, all the Scarix present began making low, resonant sounds. Humming, Maya realized. They were humming to the eggs. "Life signs in the eggs are stabilizing," the medical officer reported in amazement. "Whatever they are doing, it is working. They are parents," Maya said simply. "They know what their children need." The next several hours passed in a blur of activity. The fleet vessels transported the recovered eggs to the nearest Scarix nesting ground, a system of caves on a moon, orbiting a gas giant. The Scarix guided them carefully, showing them the precise environmental conditions needed. Maya stood in one of the nesting chambers, watching as adult Scarix carefully placed each egg into specially prepared alcoves. The walls were warm, heated by geothermal vents. The humidity was carefully regulated by natural processes that had been refined over millions of years of evolution. "It is beautiful," Vrel said, standing beside her. His forearms were folded in a gesture of respect. "All this time, we thought they were monsters. They were just parents protecting their young. The galaxy owes them an apology," Maya said. 200 years of war that should never have happened." The silver leader approached them, moving more slowly now that the immediate crisis had passed. It lowered its head in what Maya had learned was a gesture of gratitude. She reached up and touched its snout gently. "We will protect these nests," she promised. "The Galactic Fleet will establish permanent protection details. No more raiders. No more stolen children." The leader made a soft vocalization, almost like a sigh of relief. Then it did something unexpected. It reached into a crevice in the cave wall and carefully withdrew something small. A scale, Maya realized, one of its own scales. It held the scale out to Maya. She took it carefully, feeling the weight of the gesture. "A gift?" "A gift?" Ember vocalized, and Maya's translation software had finally gathered enough data to provide rough interpretations. The word that appeared on her screen was friend. Maya felt tears running down her face. Yes, friends. Over the following weeks, the relationship between humanity and the Scarix grew stronger. Fleet vessels worked alongside Scarix patrols, protecting the nesting grounds and hunting down remaining poachers. The Scarix, in turn, began sharing knowledge of the dangerous sectors they had patrolled for centuries. Maya established a permanent research station near the primary nesting ground, with full Scarix approval. She worked daily on developing a proper translation system, building a dictionary that would allow true communication between species. Commander Vrel visited regularly, bringing supplies and updates. On one such visit, he found Maya sitting on her station's deck, eating a sandwich while 3 young Scarix watched with fascinated confusion. "Still spreading the gospel of omnivorous eating?" Vrel asked with amusement in his voice. "They find it endlessly entertaining." Maya laughed. "These 3 are from the first batch of recovered eggs. They hatched last week. Their parents asked if I would help teach them about other species." One of the young ones, barely the size of a large horse, crept closer to Maya's sandwich. It sniffed carefully, then made a small, questioning sound. Maya broke off a piece and offered it. The young Scarix examined it, took a tiny bite, and immediately made a face of disgust that was universal across all species. The other 2 young ones made sounds that could only be laughter. "Not everyone appreciates Earth cuisine," Vrel observed. "That is fine. They are carnivores. I am just showing them that different does not mean threatening. Maya scratched the young one under its chin, earning a pleased rumble. These little ones will grow up knowing humans as friends, not enemies. That changes everything. Ember landed nearby, now a regular visitor to Maya's station. The massive Scarix had become her constant companion and primary communication partner. Together, they had developed a hybrid language of gestures, vocalizations, and symbols that worked surprisingly well. Ember vocalized a complex sentence, and Maya's improved translation software parsed it with decent accuracy. The elders wished to speak with the fleet leaders. Formal alliance. Maya stood quickly. Really? An official alliance? Ember nodded, a gesture it had learned from watching humans. You showed trust first. We returned trust. Together, stronger. Commander, did you hear that? Maya asked. Vrel's antennae were standing straight up with excitement. I heard. Dr. Chen, you have just facilitated the first alliance treaty with the Scarix in galactic history. We facilitated it, Maya corrected. None of this works if we do not continue building trust together. 6 months after the initial contact, Maya stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council. Beside her were Commander Vrel, representatives from dozens of species, and through a specially constructed opening in the dome, the Silver Scarix leader and 5 other Scarix elders. The treaty was read aloud in every major galactic language. And finally, in the newly translated Scarix tongue. Protection of nesting grounds. Joint patrols of dangerous sectors. Cultural exchange programs. Scientific cooperation. When the signing was complete, the Silver leader vocalized a speech that Maya's equipment translated for the assembled delegates. For many cycles, we fought alone. We lost our young, our hope, our trust in other species. One human showed us that different can mean friend, not enemy. She shared food when we expected weapons. She offered protection when we expected betrayal. The path forward is together. The assembly erupted in approval. Species that had feared the Scarix for centuries now saw them as powerful allies and partners. After the ceremony, Maya returned to her station. She unpacked her dinner, another sandwich, and sat on her observation deck. Ember landed beside her, as had become their evening routine. Quite a day, Maya said, taking a bite of her sandwich. Ember rumbled agreement. A young Scarix, one of the 3 Maya had been teaching, landed on her other side. It had brought something, carefully clutched in its claws, a protein bar, one of the ones Maya had shared months ago. The young one held it out to her, mimicking the gesture she had made with Ember so long ago. An offering. A gesture of friendship. Maya laughed and accepted it. Thank you. That is very kind. The young Scarix made a pleased sound and settled down to watch the stars with them. Ember vocalized softly, and the translation appeared on Maya's pad. You changed everything with one lunch. Maya looked at the massive creature that had become her closest friend in the galaxy. It was never about the lunch. It was about choosing to see a person instead of a monster. And now? Ember asked. Maya smiled, looking at the young Scarix, then out at the stars where fleet ships and Scarix patrols flew together. Now the galaxy is a little bit smaller, and a whole lot friendlier. She took another bite of her sandwich. Somewhere in the diplomatic offices, officials were probably still processing the paperwork for the most significant alliance in recent history. But here, on a dead moon at the edge of what used to be hostile territory, a human and a dragon sat together in comfortable silence, sharing food and friendship. Sometimes, the biggest changes came from the smallest gestures. Sometimes, all it took was someone willing to say, "Relax. It is just my lunch," and mean it. The N-Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5